Tuesday with Tamika. Thank you guys so much for joining me for yet another episode of Tuesday with Tamika, where y'all already know what it is. We believe in lifting as we climb, turning our trials into treasures, living a life to inspire and not impress, opening up and allowing God to fully restore us, and loving as if we have never been hurt. Welcome to September. You guys, I hope you enjoyed last week's episode where we dove into another juicy topic. And I believe today is going to be just the same. I have an amazing guest with me today that is going to share some insight, some encouragement, and really just help to uplift us. Before we get into and I introduce my guest, I want to share something with you guys. So I used to be an avid hiker. Like I hiked like 3 to 4 times a week. Recently, I started hiking again. And a few months ago, I was on my morning hike and I went on this path that I had gone several times. And when I went this particular morning, the grass was overgrown, the weeds were all over the place. It was really kind of scary to even navigate through the pass because I didn't know what was going to be there. If there was going to be snakes, if there was going to be coyotes, rabbits, ants, bugs, whatever. But I kept going because I knew that there was a destination that I wanted to get to. And once I got to the top of that hill to a clearer path, I felt very proud of myself. Well, this morning, 3 weeks prior from me going back to that path, I went on that road and it was cleared out. Somebody had gone and cleared all the weeds. They had paved the road. And what used to be a very clear road started to resemble what it used to be. And as soon as I got on that hike, y'all, God be downloading. He be doing his big one with me. And so I was like, wow, this is very much like our healing journey. When you get off the road, the weeds start to grow, your shifts back into that old thinking and those old thought patterns. You start to overthink, can I get through this? You become overwhelmed. You become just overcome by emotions and by just the thought of I can't get through this. But when you keep going, here's two things that happen. One, people see you on your journey and they will begin to either start to clear out and help your journey easier, or God will move them out the way and it will literally the weeds, the bushes, the things that made your mindset foggy and made it cluttered will begin to clear out. The other thing that happens is you will begin to see what you already knew. You will begin to see the footprints of the journey that you know that you're supposed to be on, and clarity happens, and you get to see like, you know what, I can get through this. I can get through this hard season even though it feels like it's going to be a little rough. I can get through it. I can get through it. And I believe that today's guest is going to know something about overcoming hard things, overcoming that overthinking, and overcoming that overwhelm that happens when we either have to start all over and it feels like there's just bushes and weeds and all this stuff that is clouding our path and that is like really junking up our path. I believe my sis today is going to help us to navigate and get back on that path of healing, get back on that path of growing so we can overcome our overthinking and the overwhelm that happens with starting all over. So, without further ado, hey sis, you got a minute?
Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute?
Hey sis, I absolutely do.
I am so excited about you being here. Tell the TWT family a little bit more about you.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I want to say thank you so much for providing a platform such as this. I think it's so imperative that we have these types of resources for us to be able to come to and navigate, right? Having something to assist us in our further growth in in life in general, right? And so oftentimes we feel stuck because we feel alone. And so I'm grateful to be able to lock arms with you and in some way partner with you so that we can team up to show and share that there is other ways of getting things done. So, as you said, I am Tamora Burton. My friends call me Tam, y'all. So you my friends, call me Tam. So I am Tam. I am the owner of Make It Rise, Rebuild Intentionally and Strategically for Effectiveness, which was born in 2015 as a result of me and my now ex-husband. We were in the valley of our marriage, and we went through a very, very rough and hard time, but we happened to get out of it at that particular time. And once we came out of that valley, I asked God, what do I do with all that we just went through? And that's when He gave me my baby, Make It Rise. And He shared with me that in order for others to be able to get through their valley, I was going to have to be vulnerable, open, and transparent about some of the things that my ex husband and I were um, faced with, right? And so I had to go to my ex husband and get his permission before I could move further. And he was okay with it. And so that's where it was born. And unfortunately, as the years went by, long story short, but there is a book that tells a little bit about it that I wrote.
Yeah.
Long story short, we we ended up getting a divorce, right? And so God led me down a different path, still with Make It Rise, but under that umbrella, there is a movement that I have today called the Life After Divorce. And I want to be very clear. I am not an advocate for divorce, but I advocate for the man or woman who has experienced it and is now ready to heal by way of removing the layers of embarrassment, shame, doubt, all of the things that may be holding you down, which actually is great. This is great conversation because it leads to in that realm. It leads to the overthinker. So, sis, this is good. I love it.
Yes, yes. And I love the movement that you have created that was birthed out of really that those weeds and that uncertainty of, where do I go next? Just like
Mhm.
when I was on that hike, I didn't know which way because you can't see. A lot of times you can't see when you're in the valley of like pain and when you're in the valley of indecision of should I divorce? Should I not divorce? And I love what you are doing. I love that I've had the opportunity to share on your platform. And I just I wanna just chat with you, sis. I want to talk about your journey, like when you were in the weeds of it, the thick of it. How did you
Mhm.
even decide which way to go? Was it decisions that were made for you? Or were you just like, I gotta get through this and I'm gonna do it as I'm getting stuck and poked and all of this stuff, but I know that there's something on the brighter side. Let's jump into it. Tell us how you
Yeah.
through.
Absolutely. So there's this, it's so layered, but to round it up or to make it clear, I will say this: as an advocate for healthy relationships and marriages, which is what my ministry was basically focused on, going through or about to go through divorce put me in a very uh, a stuck place because my question to God was, how do I continue to do workshops, sit with couples, mentor them? How do I do all of that yet I am in this compartment of my life? Do I stop? What do I do? So I was very confused and unsure of this calling that I felt at the time God called me to do. My question was, Lord, okay, was that really you or what? Because I cannot see you asking me to do a thing and then months later or a couple of years later, I am actually entering into a space that would be the opposite of what society would want to hear, right? And so, what I heard him say, and it was through my mentor, is your purpose has nothing to do with your status. And
Mm,
so I had to stand on knowing that he purposed me to do that thing, whether I was single, divorced, dating, regardless to what my status was. God is not impressed with our status, but he's impressed with what we do with our purpose. And so I had an opportunity to show him my faith. I had an opportunity to grow in my faith, right? I learned so much about God in that season of my life because we can read and hear what others say that God has done. We can read the word and believe it, but it's something about experiencing it. So when I experienced the keeper that God was, he kept me through that thing and gave me the sound mind so that I was able to literally make decisions, not for today, but make decisions for the future, make decisions for the purpose that he had placed in me, and understanding that I was going to need to have him along with other people, men and women, who were able to plant seeds and pour into me, just as the weeds that you saw when you were on your hike. There were so many different weeds coming out of me, girl. I was like, okay, Lord, what needs to be pulled, what stay, what go, right? And as the
Mm,
Bible said, he said, let the wheat and tares grow together. And when it is time, I will do the plucking, right?
on.
Oftentimes we are extremely prematurely pulling things out. And God is like, no, leave that there. You still need, there's still some growth needed in that area. I will do the plucking. And so I gave myself permission to just move according to how he was. I don't think I've ever heard God as clear as I did in that season of my life because I was extremely embarrassed and just didn't know which way to go. So I had to stop, pause, take a short pause for the cause so that I could continue to hear him clearly, remove the what the naysayers were saying or what I thought they were saying, and be obedient to his instruction and direction.
Yes, that is so good. That was a whole bar what you said. Your status does not determine your purpose, or your purpose does not
Mhm,
determine your status. We look at right now, as the world has just witnessed the Olympics and we've seen like these amazing athletes, nobody questions if the coach is still performing.
mhm,
Nobody says, "Oh, Simone Biles' coach is no longer like they ain't out there turning and twisting and doing all them gymnastics moves. No, the track coaches are overweight and out of shape, but they
mhm.
are trusting the fact that they have walked through something, they have done some type of training, they have been through something that qualifies them to now coach those amazing athletes. And that is exactly how I believe it is with marriage coaches and relationship coaches and life coaches and these people that God has called and really anointed us to do this work because we did something. There was some training. Even
Mhm.
that divorce, that hard season of, like you said, navigating through the weeds and then also locking arms with people that can help you get through it is what truly qualifies you.
Yeah.
And I am so glad that you didn't do what so many people do and allow the naysayers and allow really ourselves, because research
Mhm.
shows it's 80% of what we say to ourselves that stops us from living our what God has called us to do. So, what were some of the things that you had to like, cuz this is a daily battle. This is
Yes.
like I know your divorce has been over for some time now, but there's still residue because I know you're and your ex-husband, you guys have babies together. There's
Mhm.
so much attachment that still is there. What are some things that you have to daily tell yourself and remind yourself in order for you to continue to rise, sis?
Absolutely. That is such a great question. And I do agree with you. It is daily movement, daily progress, daily work, right? You don't reach the point where you say, okay, I have arrived. And even if you say, I have arrived, there has to be a goal to the goal after the goal, right? Like, so if my goal was to be able to do certain things with our daughter, i.e., college tours, because that was one of the things that even after the marriage, after the divorce, I had to address for myself. It was extremely hard because those were some of the things my ex-husband and I talked about when our girls were still in school. Once we are empty nesters, the things that we plan to do, when we go to the college tours, how we were going to act and just having fun with it, right? And so
Mhm.
when I found myself going to on these college tours with our baby alone sometimes, it was a reality check that hey, this thing is really over. And it was time after. So that was a trigger for me. So
Mm,
one of the things that I had to do was really get centered and grounded with being okay with my location, right? Oftentimes we are still holding on to what it was, what it should be, what we thought it would be, what we said it was going to be, and we miss the entire the most important thing, what it is,
mhm,
right? This is what it is. And I one of the analogies that I give oftentimes when I'm speaking is when we are at a mall and we are looking for, I'm just going to say Nordstrom's, and we are, lost. We're turned around. We're not sure where it's at or how to get there. One of the first things that we do is go to the kiosk that gives us direction, location of where that particular store is. And what we normally do is find out where we are. Okay, this is where I am at right now. And how do I get to Nordstrom's? And so you will see a path. It'll tell you that it's on the third floor, the second floor, the first floor. And it gives you an idea of how to get there. Now, here's the tricky part. Getting to that store comes with passing other stores. And
mm.
oftentimes those other stores can become distractions, right? And so in life, when we are attempting to get to that healed space or that free place, there are some things that we're going to have to pass that will and can be a distraction. And if we are not disciplined enough to say, no, keep going because the goal is down there. And if you stop here, you're going to hinder your pace. You maybe slowing someone else down or completely stopping someone else. So
Mm,
you have to keep going. So one of the things that I did, was accept my location. Tam, this is where you're at. You're no longer his wife. You are a wife
come
because
on.
of your belief in God. You are a wife. You can continue to be what you were and who you were called to be as a wife where you're at now. And so what that did was help build my character, my integrity, my morals, and my values for the king that God has already set for me. So the goal is to give God glory in this space that I'm at and where he's taking me, right? Not get distracted. And that was another tool that I had to use, is not getting distracted, because there were times where I did and I had to go back, start over. So I had to teach myself that A, know your location, B, don't get distracted, and then C, remember what the end goal is, right? Because when the end goal is at the forefront of your mind, you have to be laser focused on this thing. I truly believe that having people in my life, being giving myself permission to be open, honest, and transparent with my location with other folks was helped catapult me to where I'm at today. I truly believe that one body, many members, one body,
Yeah.
right? So we all have different functions. So as I'm on this call with you, as I'm on this platform with you, we are both simultaneously working in the kingdom to build other women and men that are listening to this podcast and understanding, like, dang, me too. Like, okay, it's not just me, right? Because sometimes we overthink and feel like we're in a space all by ourselves and there's nothing new under the sun. If God is giving you the opportunity to be in a place, and I call it opportunity, had going through a divorce was an opportunity. It was an opportunity for me to learn more about myself. It was an opportunity for me to learn different things and more things about God. It was an opportunity for my faith to grow to another level, right? It was an opportunity. If God, just because something happens, if God may not cause it to happen, but he'll use the things that happen, right? And so
Mhm.
in this walk, as I am allowing him to pull and tuck and protect and cover and all of the things, God is showing me that he has purpose even in this. And so those are some of the things I think is very important for us to understand, that we have to accept our location. We cannot get distracted and keep our eye focused on the end goal.
So good. Oh my gosh, that is so good. And it just makes me think of that hike, right? Because
Mhm.
my kids, they with they selves, right? They always I don't know why they got my location and I got theirs, but I don't even know how to look at it, right? I'm like,
Mhm.
they're always looking at my location and they'll text me like, "Can you stop here?" I'm like, "How do you know that?" And they're like, "Because I see your location." And it's so funny because I always tell them if I stop, it's going to put me back. My time is going where,
Mhm.
I'm trying to get somewhere. And if I stop to go pick you up this and go stop here and this and that, then I'm going to be late to where I'm supposed to go.
Mm.
And then the other
Mhm.
part that you said is not getting distracted. As I was on that hike, girl, I was distracted because I'm like, oh my God, the bugs, the this, like what is going, but I'm like, nope, just keep going because there is a place that you are trying to get. And what the
Yeah.
beautiful thing is 3 weeks ago, when I first did the hike and the weeds were so big and they were out of control, I only went so far. But once I recognized where I was at, once I did not stop and allow everything that was around me to distract me, today I got further. I got further
Mhm.
than what I did the first time. And I think that that happens so often when we're in our healing journey, when we just
Mhm.
use those ABCs that you just gave us. Every day we get a little bit further. Every day we
Mhm.
heal a little bit more. Every day we're able to say, okay, I got through this. So, sis, those were golden, golden, golden nuggets. So you wrote a book. You have 2 books or you have 1 book?
I actually have 5 books.
But girl, shut your mouth. Well, tell us your books and how we can support you, where we can find your books, and then
Yeah.
also where the TWT family can stay in contact with you because you be dropping some good stuff and I want them to be able to connect with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, sis. Yeah, so all of my books are on Amazon, or I have copies myself where if, they reach out to me, I will personally sign it. I would love to meet them face to face if they're in close proximity. I would meet them at a coffee shop or something to hand it over and just love on them. But my first book is The Marriage Policies and Procedures. That book is for anyone who is married, in a relationship, ready to be in a relationship, the preparation to being in that relationship or a marriage. It is 17 policies. That book was written after I separated with my ex-husband. And so it will help you build you as an individual as you prepare to be in a relationship. And then the 4 books after that are all related to healing after divorce. And I oftentimes say this because it's so interchangeable depending on what your after is. So it may not be divorce. So just cross out the word divorce. Let's just talk about focus on the healing part of whatever your after is. And
Mhm.
so the tools and the nuggets and the things that I share and my co-authors share in the next 4 books are all very powerful tools that we can use in our day-to-day life as we continue to build and grow as individuals and remove one layer at a time and understand that it's going to take that one layer at a time, right? No one's asking you to take it off completely at once because I don't think that that's realistic. There's steps to be taken, and even in those steps, like for me, sis, if I can share, a lot of my workshops that I put on, I had to literally go through them myself at home before I could actually execute them out at a real workshop or online courses. I did it myself to show and prove that it can happen, right? And so I can be reached at on any social media platform. Life After Divorce. IG is underscore Life After Divorce, um, and also on Facebook as well, and TikTok. TikTok is actually under the business name Make It Rise, and my website is TamoraJohnson.net.
Awesome, awesome. We will make sure we have all of those linked in the show notes for you to be able to connect with our good sis, Tam, and get the book,
Mhm.
get all the things. Y'all, look out because me and her are going to be doing more things together. I just know it. I feel it.
Mhm.
I trust it. And we also were able to connect on her podcast. So I'm going to make sure I link her podcast in the show notes as well as what initially got us connected. We did a
Mhm.
beautiful YouTube series, Life After. And so go and check that out because there are over how many stories, Tam? Was it 10 of us?
I want to say there's 8.
There's 8 stories of just life after, because as Tam said, life after divorce, life after just surviving, right? And
Mhm.
there's so many different stories, and it's so beautiful how God made all of our stories interconnect. And I want you guys to go check out that series with our good sis Kim that put that together. So TWT family, I pray that this brief introduction to Tam has whet your appetite of all the good stuff that she has to offer. Tam, I want you to close us out with what does being healed to love again mean to you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, so I believe healing to love again. I was wrapping it up with if we don't give ourselves to love uh, openly, if we don't give ourselves the opportunity to love the new the way that we love the last, we'll never get to a place where we are free in this thing called love. And so I'm not sure, or healing, right? So our
Mhm.
healing comes with a lot of work that we have to do within. I share in the workshop that I do often, the mirror me. I share that oftentimes we look out the window to point the finger to blame instead of looking in the mirror to say, what is it that I can do today in order for me to grow and be the better version of myself?
Yes, 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 yes. So good. I am so grateful to have you on today's podcast. You guys, make sure you run, do not walk, run over to the show notes and to her website so you are able to get all the goodness that she has to offer. Tam, I thank you, sis. I thank you for being a part of my life, a part of today's episode. TWT family, make sure you go over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Music, everywhere that you are listening to this podcast, and give us those stars. That helps the algorithm know that what we are putting out is worth consuming, and it helps more people to get this content. Make sure that you share and post on social media. Tag us. We got some free giveaways, some gifts that we want to give to you all. So make sure you do that as well. Tag Tam, tag me, so that way we can see that you are picking up what we are putting down. Until next week, remember to live a life to inspire and not impress. Remember to lift as you climb, turn those trials into treasures, open up and allow God to fully restore you and love as if you've never been hurt. Until next week, bye bye.